Salvete! Step into ancient Rome. Meet my friend Lucius Cornelius Felix. Let's enjoy a glass of wine from his lead-lined kettle. Don't worry, it's totally safe and effective at keeping foods and beverages fresh. Cheers! Now let's fast forward to 1850s Victorian England. There's little Georgie Gladstone buying sweets from the local candy shop again. He sure loves how those copper arsenite-infused treats glisten in the sun. How about we sail across the pond to 1890s Midwest America and meet John Miller the butcher. He's busy preparing for the market, dusting his steaks with borax to keep the flies away. Looks like the bugs know something John doesn't. Let's skip ahead to the Roaring Twenties and have a drink with Mary O'Connell, a flapper girl with dreams of making it big in the pictures. To keep her looking young, she sips a vodka tonic spiked with Radithor. To your health, Mary. Next stop, July 20th, 1969. A young Mikey Davis excitedly drinks a soda fizzing with red dye number 2 as he watches Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon's surface. Each swig, one small sip for boy and one giant blunder for his future health. Before returning to our own Roaring Twenties, let's stop by the late 1980s and check in on Jessica Johnson. She's at the gas station grabbing a Mountain Dew on her way to work to keep her focused and awake. Best of all, the soda's mixed with brominated vegetable oil to keep the neon green color consistent. Now we're back to the present. All that time travel sure made me thirsty. Luckily, the city added fluoride to the water supply to keep our teeth strong and healthy. For our society to achieve our modern comforts, many people had to discover the horrors of consuming lead, borax, red dye number 2, and everything else the hard way. Today, we tend to think that we've weeded out all the ancient toxins and that everything we consume is safe. But it appears many aren't so sure, with several municipalities and even the state of Utah recently banning fluoride from its water supplies. Still, many experts write off such concerns as conspiracy theories. So which is it? Thanks for stopping by NPC Overrider, where we challenge mainstream source code to develop independent thought, one user story at a time. Grab your canteens, toothbrushes, and tinfoil hats, and let's log into the NPC environment and check out the latest programming. The mainstream argument says that fluoride is not a health concern.
Fluoride is safe and effective, and it's one of the most inexpensive ways to really cut down on dental decay. So there's two ways you can typically get fluoride then. One, a supplement that you take systemically, which gets into the body, and you can get into the teeth as they're growing and maturing to make them nice and strong and resistant to decay. And the other way is to bathe those teeth with fluoride by the water you're drinking or by maybe a prescription product that the dentist asks you to use for fluoride applications, or for even in your toothpastes or other type of oral medicaments that you can get over the counter.
The supporting points here say number 1, dental health breakthrough. Number 2, low risk, high reward. Number 3, no evidence of disease. Number 4, global acceptance. And 5, scientific consensus. Point number 1, dental health breakthrough. You've been drinking and bathing in fluoridated water your whole life. In fact, Americans have fluoridated water supplies since 1945, when Grand Rapids, Michigan became the first city to start the tradition. Studies showed a 60% cavity drop after fluoridation began, and modern CDC data confirms a 25% reduction for children and adults. Why is this suddenly a problem? Number 2, low risk, high reward. Too much of anything can be bad, and yes, fluoride can lead to sickness and death in rare cases. To achieve severe fluorosis or excessive fluoride intake, one must consume between 40 and 80 milligrams of fluoride. Of course, this depends on body weight and how quickly the fluoride is ingested. That's why the CDC recommends a fluoride concentration of 0.7 milligrams per liter, which is about 3 drops in a 55-gallon barrel. This makes it virtually impossible to die or even get sick from the tap water. Number 3, no evidence of chronic health issues. Long-term and excessive fluoride intake may cause dental fluorosis or tooth discoloration. However, a 5-year NHANES clinical data shows that less than 1% of people aged 6 to 49 experience severe fluorosis. Additionally, studies concluded that fluoride is not linked to cancer. While excessive fluoride use can impair brain development, overall research suggests that regulated levels in developed countries show little such risk. Number 4, global acceptance. The US is not the only country fluoridating their water. More than 70 nations consider water fluoridation a win. While fluorosis is reported at higher levels in places like China and India, it's primarily due to naturally occurring fluoridation in groundwater that is not properly regulated as it is in the US. Number 5, social impact. The ADA, CDC, and WHO all support water fluoridation at regulated levels with rigorous monitoring to ensure that the benefits outweigh the rare minor risks. Banning fluoride would impact low-income communities who can't afford regular dental care. Just think of all the savings for individuals, families, and the healthcare system overall. The rebuttal says fluoride is a health concern.
I think fluoride is a poison. My son was saying this. My son was in the hazardous waste industry, and he had to take an exam. And that if a fluoride truck crashes on the highway, they have to clear the highway for miles around, and people come in Tyvek suits and respirators and gloves to do the cleanup. And it's a toxic ingredient. It's a toxic byproduct of a certain chemical process and oil industry process. And for many years, those industries, it was costing them thousands of dollars per drum to get rid of them. And then they came up with the idea, why don't we put it in the water supply? And they did that, and it causes cancers. Of course, it causes your bones to deteriorate, and it causes severe IQ loss. And last week, a group that I'm associated with won a 7-year lawsuit against EPA on fluoride that I think will result in the fluoride being removed from all the water supplies in this country.
Main points say, number 1, IQ decline, 2, bone health, 3, thyroid dysfunction, 4, uncontrolled exposure, and 5, mass medication ethics. Point number 1, IQ decline. Fluoride is dumbing the masses. In 2019, JAMA Pediatrics linked prenatal fluoride intake with lower IQ in kids reviewed at 3 to 4 years of age. According to JAMA, quote, fluoride exposure during pregnancy may be associated with adverse effects on child intellectual development, indicating the possible need to reduce fluoride intake during pregnancy, end quote. Pregnant women are always concerned about deli meat, but there's no consideration for the water supply? Number 2, bone health. The National Research Council found that lifetime fluoride exposure at a concentration of 4.0 milligrams per liter is likely to increase bone fracture rates in the population. While the CDC recommends fluoride concentrations of 0.7 milligrams per liter, the EPA enforceable standard is 4 milligrams per liter, meaning municipalities won't be fined for exceeding the CDC's recommendation by 4 times. Multiple agencies and conflicting boundaries muddy the waters for consumers. Number 3, thyroid dysfunction. A 2015 UK study found that elevated fluoride intake in both males and females increased the risk of hyperthyroidism by 30%. Researchers concluded that reducing fluoride exposures must be given more significant consideration, and public health officials should advocate for topical fluoride application for dental care or non-fluoride interventions. A more recent study from 2024 suggests that high fluoride intake could impact thyroid function. Point number 4, uncontrolled exposure. Even if we consider the daily fluoride intake in tap water to be safe, this doesn't account for the unknown levels from tea, processed foods, dental floss, or natural occurring fluoride in general water supplies to include well water. Fluoride is everywhere. Do we really need it in our water as well? Why not add vitamin C or omega-3s to my water? How about throw a whole barrel of Centrum Silvers in the grid for me? Point number 5, mass medication ethics. Why is dental health such a concern for municipal water providers? While a 2014 Cochrane review found topical fluoride has dental benefits, forcing the population to ingest and bathe in it is an ethical red flag. Many people don't consent or even know that they're putting this stuff in their bodies, let alone the negative health effects. The people like this guy sure know the effects of too much fluoride. Critics of fluoride bans warn that bad dental health that would follow, but if you go to the grocery store, there's an entire aisle devoted to dental care. That's why RFK Jr. is pushing for a national ban. States like Florida, Ohio, and South Carolina may follow Utah's example and remove the suspected toxin from their grids. Organizations like the CDC, ADA, and WHO might get behind fluoride, but this appeal to authority doesn't hold as much water as it did just a few years ago. Cheers to your health. The Romans, at least some of them, were aware of the health risks associated with lead intake, noting that lead pipe layers had paler skin than those working with clay. But Lucius Cornelius was more concerned with wine preservation. He'd die of a stroke by 50. By the mid-19th century, suspicions arose throughout England that arsenic-based products such as paint, wallpaper, and of course candy were poisonous. But confectioners, clothing manufacturers, and young children couldn't resist its stunning hues. Georgie Gladstone never reached adolescence. Color me shocked. In John Miller the Butcher's time, people already suspected borax might be bad for your health, but its use as a preservative was too good to pass up for some conspiracy theory. For many food handlers and meat consumers, it would cost them their lives. Suspicion about Radithor bubbled in the 1920s, but many still used it for its health benefits. Public fear set in when the Wall Street Journal wrote the article titled, "The Radium Water Worked Fine Until His Jaw Came Off," in 1932. Sadly for Mary O'Connell, she never made the pictures or her 30s. Her body was so radioactive that they buried her in a lead-lined coffin. While the Russians didn't beat us to the moon, they did ban red dye number 2 after finding it caused tumors in rats before the US took action. The FDA didn't catch up until 1976, which was too late for people like Mikey Davis. As early as 1969, Canadians suspected brominated vegetable oil of being harmful after lab rat testing, and the UK banned it in 1970. However, American companies like PepsiCo and Coca-Cola did not remove the toxin from their products until 2014 after public pressure, and it wasn't banned until 2024. Heavy citrus drink consumers like Jessica Johnson paid a heavy price. The saddest part of all these situations is that such victims likely had no clue what they were ingesting, even if some people of their time did. For every one person spouting, quote, conspiracy theories, 10 more would tell them it was, quote, safe and effective. Because the experts said so. But what about fluoride? If it's not for dental care, then what's it for? Some say the powers that be want to make us dumber. Others say to keep us sick, or both. If banned, should we expect brominated vegetable oil and fluoride to be the last toxins removed from our daily consumables? History suggests otherwise, and RFK Jr. might make 2025 a watershed moment for the fluoride fad. Well, that's going to do it for this version of NPC Overrider. I'm your lead engineer, Greg. Thanks so much for stopping by. If you want to help me save the NPCs, please set the like button to true and share this with a friend who needs to have their source code challenged. If you have an idea for a future release, please open a ticket in the comments section. We'll get back to you ASAP. Also, please consider subscribing. We'd sure love to have you on our development team. But for now, we're going to shut down the office and grab a beer. Thanks again. Have a good one.